Hey everybody, welcome back to U.S. History, American History with Mr. Finn. Today we are getting into war. We had Fort Sumter take place in South Carolina. They had separated from the Union. The rest of the lower states are going to fall in line with South Carolina. South Carolina is not the leader of the Confederacy. However, it is going to be the first state that secedes or breaks away from the United States of America. So all of this American Civil War we're going to be happening. It's going to be about two things. One, it's going to be the Union versus the Confederates. The Union is always the United States of America. So like today we call it the Union. The United States of America is the Union. But then we had the Confederate States of America, which they believed they were another country. But the Union and Abraham Lincoln, from your last assignment, believes that these states are not a new country. They are just in rebellion, and the North, the Union, must bring them back in. So the American Civil War is the fight between the Union and this Confederate States of America, which, again, the Southerners believe they have created the Confederacy, this Confederate States of America, and the Union, or the North, is going to believe them just to be in rebellion. Just to be sure about this, let's have it here. So on a quiz, if I ask you who's the North, you say the Union, the Confederacy, or the Confederates are the South. So there's no confusion. Now remember, we have been talking about the difference between the North and the South, and how they have split, and finally there is going to be this war between the North and the South, and again the South is the Confederates and the North is the Union. Now the first battle of this, I guess technically you could say Fort Sumter was, but that was kind of the flash point. The first real battle of this war is going to be Manassas, and this is what I would consider the first battle of the Civil War. So if I do ask you on a quiz, what was the first battle of the American Civil War, I would look for Manassas, not Fort Sumter. If I asked about Fort Sumter, I would say this was the flash point where South Carolina had split away and bombed a fort by the Confederates. Just to give you an idea if we come up to that. Now, Manassas, let's take a look at this. Before we get to Manassas, the American Civil War, this fight between the two. Here's the thing about them. Most people believe this would be fast. A matter of months. I don't know why people always think this. It happens in all the wars in world history and U.S. history that we talk about. People always believe that wars are going to be over quickly. It even happened in this class when we talked about the American Revolution. So they believe it's going to be a matter of months. That's the length they believe it's going to take place, and it will be over. And so they're seriously angry about the issues, but they don't think of it as serious as it's going to become. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that in the way of Manassas. So let's start with Manassas. This is the first battle. The North is going to go to the South and fight the Confederates at Manassas. Drop my marker because I was getting ready to toss it myself. But see, this is my example of why most Americans didn't take this too seriously. The Union was followed by that's not N. Picnickers. If you've heard of a picnic, you would know what that is. A picnic is where people go out, and back then, you can even do picnics today. You go to a park and you bring some food and you have a blanket and you sit down, enjoy the nice weather and whatever else, just see what's around. And that's what picnickers are. These people were going on a picnic to watch the first battle of the Civil War. They were following the Union troops there. They're like, oh, this will be a great day. We'll sit down, we'll have a blanket, we'll have some food, and we'll watch this battle take place, which, to you or I might sound a little bit out there. But again, it's not like they had television and all this other stuff. Their phones weren't on them, so I mean, like, they got to find enjoyment and an entertainment somewhere. But this is just the example. They didn't take this as serious as it was in the way of like, hey, this is a war, battle, and they don't know what is going to be taking place moving forward. Now, the long and the short of it, Manassas. What does Manassas really do? Manassas basically shows everyone like, yo, this is a real war. This is not going to be so quick. And one of the famous people that comes out of this battle is Stonewall Jackson. He's another important person for what I'm trying to tell you. He is a Southern general, meaning he's a pretty important guy for the South. The South is going to be led by, let me do this. You have the notes. You can always pause. Let me clear out some room. Let me get Manassas out of here. Let me get the Union and Picnickers out of here. And let me get this. You should know this. It should be on your notes, the North versus South, and whatever else. The South. Let's see. It's actually got a president. Let me write the names down. Jefferson Davis is the president of the South. For notes. The leader of the Confederate Army, let me write Confederate Army, led by Robert E. Lee. Now this is important why I'm bringing up these people, right? And let me explain why. Confederate Army led by Robert E. Lee. Stonewall Jackson is a general within the Confederate Army. Here's the thing. Both of these two military officers are very, very good. In fact, most, if not, I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, other than, I mean, maybe not even Ulysses S. Jackson, who we'll get to later. The people who were in the military for the South were way better than the generals in the North. So it's going to give the South a big advantage. One of only a couple advantages that the South has, but this is a major advantage because the people who are leading your military, your army, are much more skilled in the South. And this is one example, Stonewall Jackson. The North had everything. We'll look at some of the advantages that the North had in the American Civil War. They had more people, more factories, more railroads, they had more everything. So at Manassas, the North, the Union just keeps throwing troops towards, Stonewall Jackson. This is where he gets his nickname, Stonewall. The Northern troops, the Union troops, could not break through Stonewall Jackson and his military. He stayed strong and pushed them back. And they got tired. And then eventually the South, the Confederacy, goes on the attack. And what happens at Manassas, before we get to technology, Stonewall Jackson is going to lead the South to victory. And again, at Manassas. This is our first battle, which many people didn't think. A lot of people in the North were like, we'll go down there. We got all the people. We have all the guns. We have all the factories. We have all the biggest cities. We have the population. We have everything. And they go down there, and in the first battle, they lose, and they run away, and they retreat. But again, who followed those Union troops to Manassas? Yep, people that were going on picnics. So the North, the Union turns around and runs north, and they run into all these people who are just trying to have a picnic. Like, oh man! So like everyone runs back towards the North and Washington D.C. The entire thing is a disaster for the North, but in general, it was just chaos. People were all over. It really sets the stage and the idea that like, whoa, this is a real thing, not just a made-up conflict. Something that's going to be a major thing that we're going to look at. Shells is the reason why I have this up here, is going to be, basically think of a shell as an exploding cannonball. Because that's essentially what it was. It was it was exploding cannonball. And this did not exist before, all right? And a shell is just one example of something that did not exist before. And the reason why I bring up shells is new I'm running out of space there. New technology. New technology is crazy in the American Civil War. In some cases, it's considered the first modern war because it's the first war that takes place after the Industrial Revolution, which we have been talking about a little bit. Now that we have the Industrial Revolution, people are making things with factories. There's assembly lines that are kind of starting the mass production of things. And in this case, they're starting to see new technology. Like, again, there used to be cannonballs. You shoot a cannonball. That's great. Good luck. Hope it doesn't hit you. Now, all of a sudden, you shoot a cannonball, and when it hits the ground, it explodes and shoots out, 50 different bullets in a whole bunch of different directions. You have new types of bullets that are more accurate, new types of guns that are more accurate. You can build a lot more, mass produce these weapons. And all of this new technology is designed for one thing. This is not good, but all of this new technology is designed to unfortunately say, to kill people. It's not pleasant to say, but yes, this new technology, all these weapons, all these things are designed to better kill people in war, make it more damaging to your opponent, because unfortunately, again, we're talking war. That's what you are trying to do. You're trying to win the war. So if you have a more devastating weapon, you can cause more damage. Hence, you will probably win that war. And we're going to see this new technology where it is much more violent. It is much more efficient in killing people in the battlefield. But all of our generals still, this is something we always have. Let me give it some room because this is important to understand about this war. We are going to see this, as I just said, new technology, but, all caps, but old tactics. All of these generals learned at the same military schools. They all were taught by the same teachers. They all learned the same old tactics of I line up and you line up, and then we march towards each other and we fight that way. Those are old military tactics. However, we have new technology, and what did I just say? This new technology is designed to be better at killing people. It is not inaccurate. It is very accurate, and it's much more damaging to the people who are fighting in this war. However, at no point do these generals think maybe we should switch up our tactics. They just we're going to line up, you line up, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, which is going to cause for a lot of death in this war. It becomes a very bloody battle, the Civil War. And again, in the beginning, everyone thought this would be a few weeks, it'll be over quickly, but we're going to see this is going to be one of the most costly events as far as life goes for the United States of America. Now, today, what I want you to take a quick look at. Last time you looked up Abraham Lincoln. In fact, what I'm going to do today, that was a lot of notes. Turn in your notes today. It was a little bit longer than usual, but at some point we will be doing our images, where you take a look at the images and tell me what you see about the American Civil War. But that was a nice little intro into it. So turn these in today for participation and attendance purposes, and I will see you next class.